features presenting Nosferatu, directed by Robert Eggers, starring Bill Skarsgård, Nicholas Hoult, Lily Rose Depp, Aaron Taylor Johnson, Emma Corrin, and Willem Dafoe. In theaters now. Awards eligible. Intrepid Travel, a B Corp offering small group trips guided by local experts. Travelers can see the Tuscan countryside by bike, share tea with a Berber family in Morocco, or cook with locals at a Costa Rican farm stay. Learn more at intrepidtravel.com.
On the next Brian Lehrer Show, our 100 Years of 100 Things series continues with the rise and fall of modernism. After World War I, in an era with important parallels to today, new art forms and ways of thinking about the world emerged, but by the start of the 21st century, modernism had faded. What can we learn about our human condition today from the rise and fall of modernism? That and more on the Brian Lehrer Show, weekdays at 10 a.m. on WNYC.
It's 6:51. Marketplace Morning Report is next, and then later on Morning Edition. The U.S. is getting a 1-2 punch this week from a pair of powerful winter storms. Snow, ice, and heavy winds are snarling roads and affecting air traffic, and de-icing planes before takeoff is critical. We'll have more on winter travel, plus all the latest news from NPR and the WNYC Newsroom. It's cold outside, 25 and clear right now. Sunny and 27 for a high today, but it will feel much colder than that because of the high winds. Tomorrow, mostly sunny and 30 up to 40 mile-an-hour winds, but feeling as cold as 10 degrees. Cold again on Friday, but we'll finally break the freezing mark and reach 38 degrees. It's 6:52.
One way to think about a traffic congestion charge, the principle of paying more for faster delivery.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by Figure, offering homeowners a streamlined online HELOC application, a HELOC rate in minutes, and funding in as few as 5 days at Figure.com.
I'm David Brancaccio. A daily toll for vehicles using the busiest part of New York City has entered a fourth day. The new congestion charge is aimed at reducing asthma deaths from air pollution, easing clots of traffic, and raising money for public transit. For cars, it can be as much as $9 a day. For commercial vehicles, it tops out at more than $21 a day, depending on size and time. Now, part of the cost-benefit analysis is if the tolls do reduce congestion, it could make deliveries quicker and cost-efficient. Marketplace's Kristen Schwab reports.
Congestion pricing is supposed to encourage people out of cars and onto public transit. But that's not really an option for business deliveries. Kelly Rula directs the Urban Freight Lab at the University of Washington.
There isn't an easy alternative to just move a box truck's worth of goods onto the subway, for example, to get a restaurant their Pepsi that day.
But there are strategies companies and customers might use to help reduce their driving and delivery costs. They could make their packaging more efficient and remap routes, or expand cargo bike delivery programs. Or, Rula says, schedule deliveries during the late night and early morning hours when congestion pricing is less expensive.
So you might see businesses starting to take into consideration some of these other programs that are in place in the city that now maybe pencil out differently now that congestion pricing is in place.
But not every business can staff a loading dock or freight elevator at 2 a.m, says Zach Miller, Vice President of Government Affairs at the Trucking Association of New York.
The challenge is that really that is on the receiver, not so much the trucking company.
That receiver includes residents who are probably unwilling to wake up and buzz in an Amazon driver in the middle of the night, which means most deliveries will still happen during the day. That will lead to higher costs for trucking and delivery companies. And Santiago Galino, a professor of operations management at Wharton, says that cost will be passed on.
In the short run, it's going to increase costs that ultimately the customers are going to be paying.
That might show up in a dry cleaning tab, a restaurant bill, or the cost of shipping, say, that avocado slicer you ordered last night for next day delivery. So to manage costs, Galino says retailers might have to rethink super fast shipping.
With the promise of fast delivery and all these things, maybe this is something that is going to be rethought by certain delivery companies.
And rethought by consumers who might be willing to wait for deliveries in batches to save a few bucks. In New York, I'm Kristen Schwab for Marketplace.
Fires touching residential neighborhoods in multiple parts of Los Angeles County have forced tens of thousands of people to evacuate their homes. Scores of structures have burned at a fragile time for the California home insurance market. Here's Marketplace's Nova Safo.
Many large insurance companies have been pulling out of California due to increased wildfire risks, the high costs of reconstruction, and the state's tough limits on how insurers set rates. The state has been trying to adjust to entice insurers back in, including letting them factor in climate change when setting homeowners' policies. But more and more homeowners in the state have been relying on its insurance program of last resort, known as the FAIR Plan. The number of housing policies on that plan have more than doubled. One of the areas they've increased the most is Pacific Palisades, which is now burning. The FAIR Plan has insured exposure in that area totaling nearly $6 billion. I'm Nova Safo for Marketplace.
From Los Angeles there. Markets, Dow and S&P futures are each down slightly 0.1%.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by Progressive Insurance, offering small business owners protection for what they've worked hard to build with over 30 customizable coverages. Learn more at progressivecommercial.com.
Starting today, Americans visiting Britain need another travel document along with the boarding pass and passport to get on a plane or ship, and it's one that you have to pay for. It is called an Electronic Travel Authorization, or ETA. Joining us now from Britain is my Marketplace BBC colleague, Leanna Byrne. Hey, Leanna.
Hi, David.
What's this ETA now?
So this ETA is basically a digital permission to travel to the UK. It's not a visa, but Americans who used to show up with just a passport will now have to apply in advance and pay $12.50 and provide some personal details like a passport photo and a selfie. It's valid for 2 years or until your passport expires, whichever comes first, and each visit can last up to 6 months.
So what's going on here? I mean, is this a money-raising exercise, or are we Americans just more worthy of suspicion?
So you might think it's about money, but the UK government insists it's about modernising and securing their border system, making it fully digital so they know who's coming in before they arrive. It's actually very similar to the US ESTA system, which has been around since 2009. However, there's no denying the financial side. They estimate around 30 million people will need an ETA each year, which could bring in $375 million annually. Now, officials say that money supports a sustainable immigration system, but they stress the main goal is to streamline border control and enhance security. Lisa Minow, travel editor at The Sun, has this to say about it.
This is something that we're seeing across the globe at the moment in terms of people wanting to know exactly who's coming into the country, how long they've been there for, whether or not perhaps they've overstayed a visa before in the past. So we are not the only one. The European Union will be introducing their one this year as well.
So if I want to fly to Britain and don't want to get stuck at the US airport, how do I get an ETA?
Basically, you go online or through the UK government's app. You'll need a passport, a payment method for the $12.50 fee, and an email address. You upload a photo of your passport and a clear selfie for verification. Approval usually takes under 3 days, although you're technically allowed to travel if it's still pending. Just you might be refused entry if it doesn't get approved in time. Also remember, everyone needs their own ETA, including kids and seniors. And if you're just changing planes in London on your way somewhere else, you still need an ETA.
Oh, you still need one if you're in transit. Now, the United Kingdom, England, Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland. But if you want to go to the European Union, different region, they also have a visa plan supposedly being rolled out later this year.
That's right, David. The European Travel Information and Authorization System, a handful of a name, and I'll have more on that for you closer to the time.
Marketplace, BBC's Leanna Byrne in the UK. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'm David Brancaccio. It's Marketplace Morning Report. We are from APM, American Public Media.